The appearance of the triangular milky white glow also meant that the inscription formation had been officially activated. After the inscription formation was activated, one could notice with the naked eye that a revolving vortex had appeared out of thin air at the center of the triangular glow, and the appearance of the vortex became clearer and clearer. A terrifying suction force swept out from the vortex and acted on the ground. Bang! Not long after, a hideous crack appeared on the ground. Bang! 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 Along with the passage of time, the cracks on the floor ceaselessly increased in number, and they interweaved densely together like a spider web that stretched out without end. It's coming out. Duan Ling Tian seemed to have noticed something, and his gaze descended onto the area beneath the inscription formation. Meanwhile, along with the vortex formed by the inscription formation revolving ceaselessly, a ditch that seemed bottomless had appeared beneath the split open ground. After a short moment, the ditch that seemed to be dim had suddenly become bright. A milky white ball of light that was condensed from almost material liquid spirit energy appeared out of thin air beneath the ditch, and then it swiftly fused into the vortex and was swallowed by it. After the almost material ball of milky white light was swallowed completely by the vortex, it split up and fused into the numerous low-grade origin stones that were inscribed with inscriptions. The vortex gradually dispersed, and the triangular milky white glow gradually dimmed down along with it, and then the triangular glow revealed its true appearance: numerous low-grade origin stones that had formed into a triangular shape. If one were to look carefully at these low-grade origin stones, then one could see that the surface of these origin stones possessed strands of extremely bright milky white liquid flowing about within them. This was precisely the spirit point and the spirit energy within the spirit point that had been temporarily sealed within the origin stones. A spirit point didn't exist in the form of a solid body. Just like the spirit energy of the heavens and the other, it was an existence that existed in a liquid form, and it normally attached itself tightly to the ground. Even if an origin drawing peel was capable of extracting the liquid spirit energy accumulate in the spirit point, it wasn't capable of extracting the spirit point itself. Yet now, Duan Ling Tian had achieved it via an inscription formation, and he'd successfully extracted the spirit point by its roots. Whoosh! Duan Ling Tian withdrew an unused spatial ring and put away the pile of origin stones on the ground into it. These low-grade origin stones were the key to moving the spirit point, and he couldn't allow them to be lost. The spirit point was temporarily being housed within these origin stones. Continue. After Duan Ling Tian extracted one spirit point, he didn't hesitate to directly head to the next spirit point. Even though he was able to extract spirit points, they had a certain time limitation. If he didn't release the spirit points that he'd extracted within 10 days and found them a new home, then they would disperse completely. Duan Tian spent 3 hours and extracted all 6 of the spirit points in the Snow Moon sect. Subsequently, he headed over to the demonic Lotus Blade Gorge. The demonic Lotus Blade Gorge had a total of 7 spirit points, yet Duan Tian only found 4 out of the 7 after looking for a long time. The spirit energy accumulated within the other 3 spirit points were extracted out by Long Wei earlier. Since I didn't know their location beforehand, it isn't easy for me to find them in a short period of time. But even if I'm able to extract those 3 spirit points, they will be of no use in a short period of time, as they must experience a certain amount of time before being capable of accumulating spirit energy again. Yes, I'll leave them alone for now. When he thought up to here, Duan Tian temporarily gave up on those 3 spirit points in the demonic Lotus Blade Gorge that had their spirit energy extracted, and he moved his attention of the other 4 spirit points that possessed abundant spirit energy. Doing exactly as he did before, Duan Tian quickly extracted the other 4 spirit points with the inscription formation. Continue. Duan Tian, who'd extracted a total of 10 spirit points, didn't stop just like this, and he headed towards the Origin Convergence sect after leaving the demonic Lotus Blade Gorge. The Origin Convergence sect was situated within a large canyon, and it only possessed a single entrance. If he didn't inquire about it earlier, then even if Duan Tian passed by this place, he would probably have never imagined that there was something hidden within it. Sure enough, it's as I guessed. After he entered the Origin Convergence sect, Duan Tian didn't notice a single person, and there were only demon beasts that were fleeing in all directions and some fierce beasts that took the initiative to attack Duan Tian. Demon beasts possessed elementary intelligence, and they could realize how extraordinary Duan Tian was, so they didn't dare offend Duan Tian. But fierce beasts didn't possess this awareness. But not a single one of these fierce beasts that attacked Duan Tian could approach him, as every single time they pounced towards Duan Tian, they would be blasted flying when they were still a period of distance away from Duan Tian. Duan Tian's origin energy that was suffused with strands of an earthen yellow sheen ceaselessly crisscrossed as they moved on Duan Tian's body, and they were like numerous earth dragons that were indistinct on his body. This was precisely the high-grade Earth-rank defensive martial skill, Earth Dragon's Barrier, that Duan Tian had executed casually. The Earth Dragon's Barrier was the defensive martial skill that came along with the 6th form, the Earth Dragon form, of the 9 Dragons War Sovereign technique that Duan Tian cultivated. Even though it was inferior to a heaven-rank defensive martial skill, but it could be considered to be at the top amongst Earth-rank defensive martial skills. Awa shriek. No matter if it was fierce beasts on the land or in the sky, all of them seemed to have sobered up once they were blasted flying by the defensive barrier on the surface of Duan Ling Tian's body, and they wailed before hurriedly fleeing. Perhaps their intelligence was inferior to demon beasts, yet after they'd suffered a loss, they subconsciously launched actions to protect themselves. 7 Spirit Points. After taking a circle around the former base of the Origin Convergence sect, Duan Ling Tian revealed a smile on his face. Since he'd noticed spirit points, then Duan Ling Tian started to make a move. Clang! 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 Numerous origin stones that had been inscribed with inscriptions flew out from Duan Ling Tian's hand and descended onto the ground, and then they formed inscription formations before starting to extract the spirit points. Because he had the experience from before, Duan Ling Tian's movements were much more practiced now. The extraction of 7 spirit points this time was even faster than the time he spent to extract the 6 spirit points in the Snow Moon sect earlier. After he extracted the 7 spirit points, Duan Ling Tian headed straight towards the 7 great sword peaks of the 7-star sword sect. I don't have to rush to extract the spirit points in the former mountain split sect for now. I'll go extract it when I have time in another few years. Yes, and the remaining 3 spirit points in the demonic Lotus Blade Gorge. On the way, Duan Ling Tian didn't forget the other spirit points as he muttered. While flying with his entire speed, Duan Ling Tian spent 3 days of time before finally seeing the 7 great sword peaks that shot into the skies in the distance, and they gave Duan Ling Tian an indescribable feeling of intimacy. Duan Ling Tian stood in midair above the peak of Dubhe Peak, and his gaze flickered. After a short moment, Duan Ling Tian sighed and muttered. Sect Leader, Peak Master Zhang Fang, Peak Master Kaijan, Elder Bai. The 7-star sword sect has already been rebuilt, and just like before, it's still the #1 sect in the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. All of you can rest peacefully in the netherworld. As he finished muttering, Duan Ling Tian slightly bowed, and it could be considered a bow of respect towards all the higher UPS and disciples of the 7-star sword sect that had sacrificed themselves for the 7-star sword sect. The area on the peak of Dubhe Peak was originally tainted completely with blood, yet it was completely clean now, and it had obviously been specially cleaned. MOU's speed is really quick. Duan Ling Tian's brows raised as his figure flashed out to instantly arrive in the sky above Dubhe Hall. Dubhe Hall was the place the former sect leader of the 7-star sword sect, Linghu Jinhong, cultivated, and after Mou took Linghu Jinhong as his master, he'd settled down and cultivated here as well. But even though Dubhe Hall was currently spotlessly clean, it was empty. Looks like MOU is probably busy somewhere else. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. When he was in the sky above the peak of Dubhe Peak, he noticed that many seven-star sword sect disciples were bustling about all over, and it caused the entire seven-star sword sect to reveal a flourishing scene. The seven-star sword sect, a lion that had slumbered for a long time, was already awakening. Duan Lingtian didn't disturb anyone and descended onto Dubhe Hall at the first possible moment before withdrawing a pile of origin stones, and then he fused the spirit point sealed within it into the ground beneath Dubhe Hall. Extracting a spirit point and fusing a spirit point into the ground were two different notions. The former required the strength of the inscription formation to destroy the foundations in the ground before the spirit point could be extracted completely. The latter only required the spirit point to release the spirit point from the seal of the inscription formation, and then it would bore into the ground by itself in the first possible moment and search for a new home. Whoosh! The milky white ball of light that was formed from liquid spirit energy instantly fused into the ground after Duan Lingtian activated the inscription formation. Practically at the exact same instant, vast spirit energy of the heavens and the earth emitted out the enveloped the entire Dubhe Hall, and the cultivation environment in Dubhe Hall instantly underwent a tremendous change. Bang! 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 At the same time, waves of light bands sounded out as the numerous origin stones that formed a triangular shape had exploded and shattered to transform into power, and then they vanished without a trace along with the wind. These origin stones that were inscribed with inscriptions to form the inscription formation had completed their mission. When the other spirit point beneath Dubhe Hall accumulates spirit energy once more and the two spirit points overlap each other, the cultivation environment on Dubhe Hall will surely be 2 times better than it is now. This was something that Duan Lingtian didn't doubt in the slightest. Subsequently, Duan Lingtian left Dubhe Hall and headed to the other places. I'll fuse a new spirit point into the ground at the place the other 8 original spirit points were, and I'll fuse the remaining spirit points into the other 6 great sword peaks. In next to no time, Duan Lingtian made a decision in his heart. He's extracted a total of 17 spirit points from the bases of the other 3 great sects, and after using one on Dubhe Peak, another 16 remained. In other words, even if he used another 8 spirit points, there would still be another 8 remaining. He intended to fuse 6 of these 8 into the other 6 great sword peaks, and as for the remaining 2, he intended to leave them to Elder Peng. Elder Peng was the sect guarding revered elder of the 7-star sword sect, the 6th level void initiation stage rock. When he met Elder Peng the last time, his spiritual force had detected that Elder Peng was only a step away from breaking through to the 7th level of the Void initiation stage. Presumably, with a place of cultivation that possessed 2 spirit points and coupled with the assistance of some low-grade origin stones, Elder Peng ought to be able to break through smoothly.